Hello, everyone, and welcome to our online workshop. Today, we're going to be looking at how to create online virtual tours for your location. My name is Alissa Sklar. I am the VP of Marketing with GIS Planning, and I'm delighted to be here with my colleagues. You can see Juan Barrios from the FT. Hello, Juan.
Hi, good morning. Welcome, everybody. It's a pleasure being here with you.
And we also have my colleague, Chris Gillis. You can't see him, but he's here, I promise. Hello, Chris.
Good afternoon, good morning, everyone.
Thanks, Chris. So today what we're going to be talking about is a brand new way to showcase top features in your location. And we do this with a new product that we just launched in December called ZoomTour. And ZoomTour is really interesting. It's a little bit different than anything else you'll have seen, really a new kind of product. And what this does is it is cloud-based software that you can use to build as many different tours as you would like. And each tour can have its own theme or its own specific objective. Now, the dashboard for building the tour, we're going to show you in a few minutes. Chris is going to take you on a tour. That it's very intuitive. You don't need any specific marketing or training. You don't need to have a background in design. It is really drag and drop for the dashboard. And these tours are very easy to share once you've built them. It's basically a link. You can use that link in as many different ways as you want. So we have clients who are putting that link on their website. They're using it on social media. They're adding it to proposals. You can put that link in an email. You can use it in an email campaign, different kinds of marketing. You can build a tour before you go to a trade show or on a trade mission to a different location once those kinds of travel restrictions are lifted, and we can all do that again. So really, we say that you have to let your imagination be your guide. You can do as much as you like with this, and there's a lot of very creative marketing that can happen with a virtual tour. Now, within the tour itself, you'll notice that you can add as many different stops to each tour as you want. So just like a real tour that we used to do in the before times, before the pandemic struck, you were able to get on, let's say, a hop-on, hop-off tour bus, for example. You'd start in one location, you'd go to the next one, you'd learn something about it, you get back on, and you can move through the tour in that way. So we've recreated that with this virtual tour software. Now, within each stop, you can then add whatever content you like. So you can put images, you can put video, you can add audio. Certainly you can put text in the box on the left, as you see there. In that text, you can put hyperlinks. The text has its own very simple editor, so you can change text colors and add bold and italics and things like that. You can also add links to social media channels if you want to do that. So, and we have a very sort of dedicated help center, resource center with best practices that walks you how to do this, answers frequently asked questions, and shows you how to do all of the different things. But it really is quite intuitive, as you see. Now, you can also add links in the tabs to different websites so that you can do that. And if you use other GIS planning data tools for economic development and investment attraction, you can add link to those data tools as well. But you don't have to. That's just another opportunity. And so with that, what I'm going to do is turn this over to Juan, and he is going to show you some examples of different tools, different tours, so you can see different ways that clients are starting to build these out. Juan, I'm going to turn this over to you now, and I'm just going to turn off my webcam so we can let the tours be the star for the next little while.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Alissa. Just a couple of things that I wanted to highlight. First, feel free to ask any questions on the chat box, please. You know, there's a message highlighted in green. So there you can send us any sort of question, comments, and you know, we would like this to be a bit more conversational in the last part of the webinar, so we can clarify any doubt, any questions you have. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna explain a little bit of some of the clients or locations that are currently using this technology. Before I start going into detail, I would like to, you know, always, you know, make the comment on how important is embracing new technologies. This is like a trend that it was, let's say, increased by, you know, the pandemic, and now more than ever, this is our reality. This is the way to move forward. Okay, so I believe that everybody agree with that fact, because it is a fact. So with this information that I would like to share with you, I just want to give you an idea, okay, just to plant that seed in your brain, and then you will kind of choose whether this is relevant for your objectives as a country, which would like to keep basically attracting investment given the current situation, especially now no one can travel, at least from the UK where I am. So here we go. So what you see on the screen now, well, that is the intro page of the application. I'm gonna show you a few of the locations, as I said before, embracing this technology. So they tell their story through this application, okay? So they start first, identifying what they would like to tell, what information they would like to share with potential investor. So once they identify that sort of information, you can apply this technology to a specific sector. You can apply this to tourism. You can apply this to show properties, etc. So this is the case of NISA in the United States. Okay, they decide to have this ZoomTour, and then what you see in the this box below is the number of step or stops, that's a better word to describe it, stops, where we as a user and users, okay, this is an open application for everyone. You can start playing with all this information, and this is how we tell the story. They actually decided to add like an audio file when basically they are describing verbally the introduction for the Center of Commerce in this case. But per every stop, you will be able to see these little tabs, giving you, the exact location, the 360 view, as we were checking before, okay? And you can basically highlight the specific companies already in place there, were operating in that area. But also, there's another sort of field where you can enter any data that you have. And this is all about sharing all the content, all the promotional material that you currently have. So, and if we think about any multimedia, you can use everything that you have on YouTube, or let's say even on your website, okay? And then we go to stop number 2, and then on stop number 2, again, we're gonna see another part of the region that they would like to showcase. And I like this stop, especially when you are trying to, for instance, if you have ports there, I'm sure you do have, and but in this view, you will be able to add or enter any of the any of the view of that sort of storage area, or those, let's say, we can see any of the island in this port, how the transit, how like the infrastructure that they already have, etc. So, and then you can add videos, pictures, photos, every single type of media that you want to have. So this is telling me, as you can tell from now, a little bit of the areas they would like to highlight. What is different here with any other system? This is not I think the hybrid or the multiple features on an interactive map, for instance, together with grabbing the client hand to hand and telling you, here is how we make this tour based on tourism or based on properties. So you are in a kind of a very, let's say, complete way, bringing that interested or potential client, in those areas that you would like to, showcase. There's another one, okay, that it is important for the attendees today who are working on, industrial park free zone. This one, again, in the US, they start telling their story, so to speak, about the areas they have availability for new investors to go and obviously start investing. So they really made a cool work here, because they start adding content, okay, about that specific facility, okay, and this for a free zone or for an industrial park is so important to have, because without the investor traveling to your island, to your country, you will be able to show all the relevant information on this system. So, and then, as I said before, you can add a specific data that you already have, okay? And in this case, they are working with, one of the GIS planning applications here. So they have like a very rich, let's say, ZoomTour. And then we can go further, and they start showing other parts from this location, obviously related to sites, of course. And there's one that I wanted to show you here, and that, 1 second, probably is this one. Yes, so they wanted to show, let's say, the entrance of this research park, and so I kind of like this because it is so realistic, and you can tell that I would appreciate that sort of information, this sort of system, if I were sort of an interested investor on this area, especially when I'm not able to travel over there. This is, one of the examples. We do have, this is a demo, the one you're seeing now, a demo site, so it's not being used by any specific, let's say, location. But I wanted to show you here the application of this sort of, technology for tourism attraction. For instance, if we see Barcelona on the map, we will be able to tell, the different locations within Barcelona that I want, potential tourist groups to visit. Okay, obviously Sagrada Familia is one of the top. Okay, but then in case this application, as you can check it from your mobile as well, you want to, specifically tell people where it's located, you will be able to do it from there, together with that, the feature of showing a 360 view, super realistic, okay? And here you will be able to show this in the best way possible with the latest technology. It is very important for me to say that all of this is based on the information you already have. And Chris, in a few minutes, he will explain how simple it is to build all of these cool views, okay? So you can add data, you can add in this, link, as Alissa said, with, your own website, URLs, etc. Okay, that was some pictures that you would like to share, etc. So that was, one of the things, for instance, if there's, as you are very like a big spot in the world focused on tourism, there's a lot of things that, you may want to, show on these virtual tours. And so this is, something that people would appreciate, and from the generic public, like from the public, but also specific investor that is trying to explore more of you. You can add your Facebook, Instagram, all your social media will be there, etc. Again, this is the most complete way to tell your story in a very modern way. We have Bilbao, another example of how this can be applied for tourism. Okay, and then again, this is very interactive, very realistic. It was created in a few minutes. Okay, so this is one of the beauties of having this technology, that in terms, it doesn't require a lot of investment in terms of time. Okay, and then another very, very relevant for you guys today is when you would like to use this sort of technology to promote a specific sector In this case, we see on the screen this area within the United States, which they are big in agriculture, okay, and farms. So they wanted to create a tour based on the companies already doing business within agriculture, the agriculture sector within Yuma, okay. So they walk hand on hand to potential investors, okay, to let them know, to reassure that, you know, it's the greatest place, you know, around the region for agriculture. So as you can see, there's no limit on the number of you know, stops here. You can add, you know, unlimited numbers, and also the theme of every sort of tour, you know, you can just let your imagination, you know, expand and apply it to different sort of, you know, aspects. So you can keep, you know, making the most of this new way to attract investment. To finalize, we can use this, let's say all the tours that I've been showing you, they are only, you know, like you can share it with the URL, with that link, okay? You can use them as a presentation. Hopefully when we start traveling again, you can use that as a presentation, you know, and then it's a super neat way to show the information. But then, you know, the most logical way to have this is on your website. Let's assume that this is any of like, you know, the IPA, Jamaica IPA website. You can add your your tour, regardless of the content you want to showcase in that tour. You only add that in a simple way to your website. And then in, you know, there are, you know, locations in the United States that they thought outside the box, and they wanted to make or create a ZoomTour based on the film locations, which is super cool, because within that, you know, that community, they just decided to create multiple stops in the locations where, you know, some movies were sort of filmed. So with that, I'm so sorry if I spoke very, very quickly, but I just wanted to trigger those ideas from you, and then to identify in what areas you can apply this sort of, you know, technology within your country, within your city, and within your industrial park or free zone. Now I'll pass it over to Chris, and he will explain a little bit how simple it is, you know, to create a ZoomTour and with this application.
Absolutely. Thank you, Juan. Yes, so ZoomTour, as you just saw, can show any number of things. It's really based on placing items on a map, anywhere that is, and those stops have various elements here. I'd love to go over those with you here. So going back to the example of NISA here, their tour, there is an introduction slide here. You can have text, essentially you can have a little web page right in this box. You can have text, images, you can even embed a video here. This one has sound, which is getting a little advanced. For each of the stops, they have various elements here. So these 4 little buttons here, please remember these in just a few seconds. I'm going to talk about how these get here. There's up to 5 that can be here. The map location, you can use Google Street View. This, they're using a drone sphere. So we've seen a couple drone videos embedded in here, or virtual tour ones. That's what the 360 is. The little pie pizza here, this can embed a website, or if you're a Zoom prospector customer, you can put data within this. And then finally, obviously, photos and videos can go in here. So let's look at this on the back end here. So when you are set up to use ZoomTour, it is all self-service. It's very easy to use. It does not take any skill. You just need to figure out, what do I want to talk about and what do I want to show? When you first come into your ZoomTour, it will not look like this. There's a bunch of practice tours we have here at GIS Planning we've been using, but this is where all your tours will be. Your first tour, you'll add that by clicking on Add ZoomTour. You'll give that tour a name, and then you'll be off to the races from there. With that, you're going to come in and you're going to create several cards for each stop. So there's a tour. It has an introduction right here. And then the numbered ones are all stops. I can move these stops around and reorder them, very easy. Within each of these stops, there are elements. So let me go back to the NISA tour again here. These are the elements here. So photos and videos, a website or data embed, that drone video, or just the map location. So let's jump in and look at these. When I add a stop, here are the elements I have. The general one gives me the stop title. There's a stop description here, so it's a little HTML formatter. Remember, I said that was like a putting a little web page within that box on the left. That's exactly what you're doing here. You can link out to other sites here, so you can create calls to action within that text. Obviously, since this is tour-based, the location's important. You'll input an address or choose it on the map. And then, as Juan mentioned, there is an ability for every stop have its own social media links. So the idea here is someone could be far away, they could be on the ground or in between, but they're able to see a little bit more about this particular stop here by visiting some of the social media. Once you input this information, you'll be able to come back and choose any one of the other 4 options. So Street View uses Google Street View. If it's near the location, great, that you can use that. The custom tour are for those drone videos or for those walkthroughs. That's where you'd put that here. The gallery is for photos and videos. You'll upload photos from your desktop. You'll link photos, and we work out some magic where we display them in the application. You'll link those from Vimeo or YouTube, so you just upload the videos there. And the data tab is for displaying a website. So you can put a website for ticketing, for information on that site. And as I mentioned before, if you have a subscription to Zoom Prospector, you can put in your specific data there too. Okay, and then every tour is viewed by a specific link here. So Alissa's going to talk about how to share and promote these tours, but these tours are shared by URL here. So you're going to grab that, and that's what you run off with and put it on your website. NISA, for example, has it right at the top of their website. This regional tour link in their navigation, that's their Zoom tour link. For the Abbotsford in Canada, they have several links here for Zoom tours about their filming locations. That's on their website there. But it all starts from the admin. You'll create a tour, and then you jump in to start editing the stops. And again, every stop has its own little element. You'll add those, and then when you're viewing those stops, they appear here. If you don't have that element, it just doesn't show. It's really easy. Okay. So that's it for me. I'm going to hand it over to Lisa here, but if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to ask those in the questions panel. We are going to get to those in just a minute here. So Alissa, do you want to take over? Yep.
Yes, maybe I missed that part when, so within the admin section, where is the part where you kind of, you know, pinpoint the exact geographic location there?
Right, so when you're creating the stop, the first element there is down below, there's a map element here. So you're gonna move the pin as appropriate. If you need to zoom out, you can move it there, it's by the reservoir and so forth. You can actually control what zoom level you see when you're in the tour, but that's a little bit detailed there.
Perfect, thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for the clarification. So yes, just a reminder that we them into the questions field on the right-hand side in your GoToWebinar control panel. We do have questions about 360 views, whether they're using Google Maps or if you have to create that content yourself.
Great question. So there are 2 options here. The 360 view, where it says the little 360 icon here, this is actually a drone video that this client has uploaded. So they had someone shoot some drone video, they created a drone sphere here. This is hosted somewhere out on the web, and then it's added in to the admin to link it up here. But there is one that looks similar. Let me jump through and find one here. Notice this one doesn't have the 360, but it has a little person standing here. This is using Google Street View. So if it's available and it looks good to you near the stop you're at, you'll be able to come in, set the angle here, save that, and that will display on the this element of the stop here. So there's Google Street View, which is built into every single stop, and then there is the option to include that custom drone video in a different stop element. And if I can go back to the admin here and scroll up, Street View, again, built in here. The custom tour one, slightly different, is where that drone video or that agricultural, or not, architectural walkthrough will go.
Great, excellent, thank you. So a couple of different options. You know, one of the things that I can tell you as we've been working with different clients to build these tours since we first debuted this is clients are astonished at the amount of copyright-free or royalty-free imagery that tends to exist about their community. So many organizations, investment promotion organizations and tourism organizations will have, you know, an archive of art and imagery and video that they can use. But in fact, if you do Google search for imagery, you can choose usage rights. And there's actually a fantastic archive that's generally royalty-free for most areas, where you can take imagery that you can use both both video and regular standard images as well. We have another question. So for countries that do not have Street View available, will they need to create that content to be uploaded if they want the 360 view? Just a clarification there, Chris.
Correct. So if you don't have Street View, and it may be not available in the locations you're looking at just because it's too far away from any road or something like that, or it could be that you know, it just doesn't work for you there. So with Street View, that is Google's product, whatever's available with Google. With the drone videos here, let me pop back to the NISA one here with the drone video. This is something that this client created for their specific tour. So you would need to create that working with a drone operator to make that happen. This isn't something that's generally out there as a repository of free imagery yet.
Right, exactly. So sometimes there are, sometimes there aren't, and it depends also where in your country, but it's certainly worth looking for Google search, and you could go to the usage rights section at the top when you're doing a Google search, and you'll often find really a quite impressive repository of images and videos that you can use there as well. Just a couple words I'd like to say about marketing. I know that we saw some examples both from Juan and also from Chris on how to share things, and you were looking at Abbotsford up in British Columbia, Canada. So they are trying to attract film and video production to their community and have had a number of them there. So what has happened there is they are linking it on their website. They call it an Abbeywood self-guided tour. And actually that tour, I think, functions as a good example of another kind of virtual tour, which is a walk up Main Street, because that's where most of the film production tends to happen. So if they're trying to support the businesses in your area, right now they're showing that film production's happening at these businesses, but each stop along their tour is another business on the main street. So it'd be an interesting way to profile a main street, a specific neighborhood, a historic district, a district that's popular with tourists. We have a client who's working to produce a tour around their conference center, their convention center. So 10 places to get a drink or eat lunch or have dinner around a conference center works as a very good tour, because you can create as many tours as you want. Once you have it, you really get can get very creative in producing these in different ways. We have a question here. Is there any feature for narrative or not just written information? And Annette, if I understand your question correctly, you mean a voiceover or audio? And the answer to that, if I'm understanding correctly, is oh, I see. You have verbal narrative. I see what you're saying. Yes, absolutely. And you can see on the screen that Chris is sharing here, any audio file can be added. And actually, I think we do have a best practices document to guide clients through creating these. It's a nice idea. Some people like to have that audio element. It's easy enough to add it. We explain to you how to do that. Yeah, I think on the first slide there, Chris, I have a audio one as well for our holiday tour. Yeah. It's a nice way to explain to people, welcome to this tour. This is how the tour works, just to provide additional information. In this particular one, I've got some music playing in the background as I'm speaking for the voiceover. So it's another nice way to add some context to that. And you don't have to add an audio file, but I know that some people are very, they're audio learners. And so I like to have as many different kinds of possibilities of ways of engaging people as possible. One other thing that we recommend when we talk to people is, is to how to do this, so that you have an introductory slide that explains what is this tour all about. Welcome to the tour. This is the kind of thing we're going to be talking about. And then that you have a clear objective for each tour. So a call to action. And this is an example of a closing slide for our holiday tour. We invited all our team members to submit their favorite businesses in their communities. And you want to have a call to action. So what are people going to do with this tour? Generally, you want to drive them to a website. Maybe if it's an event, you want to drive them to a landing page to register for something. Maybe it's a specific page on your website. Whatever it actually is, you want to make sure that those links and that action is clearly delineated. And we talk about how to do that on your intro slide, on your closing slide. And in fact, you could put that on the footer of each of the stops along the way if that's something that you chose to do.
Yeah, and to add to that a little bit, Annette, in this box here on the left, it is like a little web page. So you can embed images, you can have links out, you can have those important call to actions. Each stop can have its own social media as well. So you have a lot to do here. There isn't something that automatically takes over the tour and starts playing for the visitor of that tour, but you do have a lot of control here, and it's all based in that description box in the stop element editor.
Exactly. And actually, one of the interesting ways I'm seeing one of our clients using this now is everyone's doing these virtual conferences and virtual meetings, such as the one that we're doing here, is that they're producing a tour instead of a PowerPoint deck for when they're doing an upcoming virtual conference. So it's just a far more engaging way to present content and in this case, they'll be walking people through the tour themselves because they're going to be presenting as we are doing here in a webinar. But it's just a really creative way to walk people through those things that is a little bit different, very surprising. And the nice thing is that following that webinar or conference, you can provide them with the link to the tour itself, so they can then go back and walk themselves through those things. So that is a creative way to do those things. We do have a couple clients right now who are working on workforce attraction themed tours. So talking about elements related to workforce attraction and retention, universities, cost of living, quality of life, all of those different elements. I just thought that was a very creative way to design a tour as well.
Now that you mentioned workforce, Alissa, I read recently about many Caribbean countries trying to get some expats now that everybody can work from anywhere in the world. I think this will be a great application to, basically show, all the infrastructure that you have, the super nice spots or attractions that you already have as a country.
Yeah, that would be certainly a very creative idea. You could even showcase, broadband access for people who need to work remotely. Because it's map-based, you can have the images and the video and the audio, but we can show things mapped out so instantly people understand advantages, proximity to an airport, for example, when travel becomes easier, or broadband access, quality of life, all of those different kinds of things. A nice way to show that.
Yeah.
Again, just a reminder, if you do have any questions, feel free to put that into the questions field on the right-hand side. Juan or Chris, I don't know if there's anything else that you wanted to add here.
I think the biggest thing with this is, getting on board with it and then using it to create multiple tours. I think our friends in Abbotsford, Canada here have done really well in that they've got 7 tours right now. They're building more. And all of this augments stuff on their website or in their social media marketing. So they're using a tool that's really easy to use and adds a lot of value to the message they're sending. Because they could say it's a great place for filming and have a bunch of pictures maybe on a web page. But here with these tours, if I jump into any one of these, I'm able to kind of visit that place and kind of get a little lost and then have some more questions. So that way, when you do talk with a client, they've known a little bit about you simply because of the tour that you created. And, that tour is out there persistently. So as long as you're sharing it, people are able to see it.
Exactly. And we have very extensive support documents that walk you through how to do this. It really is a very intuitive way to do this, but you'll see that there's quick start, there's how to do the different things you might want to do along the way. We're so excited to watch how our clients are using these in such creative ways. And of course, it's very affordable. You can create as many tours as you actually like. So as we see these creative tours coming out, we're also working to help promote them in different ways on our social channels. How long does it normally take to build out a simple tour with a client? Nothing fancy. So I think we've all had a chance to build our own tours. That was one of the things we asked all our team members to do. When I built our holiday tour, the thing that took the longest was getting my different team members to send me their choices. Other than that, you can have a tour up and running in 30 minutes if you have access to the media files, or less. It depends. If it's certainly a simple one, it needn't take longer than that. I don't know, Chris or Juan, what your experiences have been.
Yeah, Juan, do you want to answer that and I'll follow?
Yeah, sure. I think it's very simple. Actually, you will be surprised how simple it is to create a tour because you already have the application. And now that that question was asked, we always, when we make this sort of presentation, this sort of virtual sessions, we make the analogy that this is sort of the Instagram for economic development. And that analogy is kind of, it makes sense or help you to understand how easy is this, because, as long as you are clear what content you want to show, everything will be easy with this sort of, technology. And, in a few words, for me, it was very, very easy to create like a couple of tours. And as long I know what I want to show, and as long as I kind of identify also the type of multimedia that I would like to share.
Yeah, creating a tour is really easy. The elements here you want are the description. You want a little bit of description in here. This is quite a bit of text here. The map parts can be automatic. Most cases you're going to be able to add street view as well, unless you're in a really weird area that doesn't have it there. Most of the times you can add a website. So if you have a web page associated with a business, a location, or a feature, you can add that in there. And then photo, it doesn't take many, one or two. If you have a video associated with it, you can add that too. In the tour I have here for this one, there are a couple photo ones where I have grabbed, and I made this one yesterday. I just grabbed a video here from a news report, simple as that. So that was really easy to get that content. For some of the more fancy tours, like the NISA one here with the 360 drone imagery, you do have to create the drone imagery there. So if you don't have that, don't worry about that. But if you do want to step it up, you can do that. The audio here, this is something that everyone's phone has the ability to record an audio message. You use the audio transcriber and you just record it, and then you just need to upload it to a hosting site on the web and you're good to go. But basic elements of text, what do I want to say, some links out somewhere, what action do I want people to say, any social media with that, it's going to already be there. And then obviously photos and videos if you have those. The map location's going to be a given, you can't not have that. And then the street view that's available. It's really easy to create that there. So you should be looking at 20 to 40 minutes for a really good tour there.
And I just want to add that one of the things that we're hearing from our clients who are using this is how they're so grateful to have a solution during these times when it's difficult to connect with people online. Obviously, travel being restricted is one easy way, conferences, trade shows, trade missions, just being that much harder to do. So finding a compelling, easy produce way to engage with people online that's dynamic, that's interactive, that's multimedia is just a really useful way to cut through the clutter. There's just so much information online. So having something that's a little bit different, but also very easy to use, that lets people experience things online, just really, it can give you a substantial competitive advantage. I don't see any other questions here. I'm going to, if that's all right, take back the controls here and just have some contact information on the screen so that I'm happy to share here. So just a quote from a client that we were working with in Arizona that found it quite easy to use. Again, this is someone who had no design or graphic experience, but was really enjoying this. She was producing the industry sector ones. So I think Juan showed you the example from Yuma of their food processing industry. They were producing a Zoom tour for each of their target industry sectors, as well as another Zoom tour for their workforce attraction elements. And then we're going to be doing a marketing campaign around all of them. You've got our contact information up here on the screen. Actually, Juan, we do have another question from Suzette. She wants to know about the cost, if that's something that you want to talk about on here.
Sure. So this is a software as a service. Okay, it's an annual, let's say, an annual payment for using the application. All right. Generally, per location and with unlimited number of tours, the price that we have for a single location is $5,000. Okay. Obviously, as I said before, there's no limit. You can create, multiple number of tours with different themes. And but then, as we already sort of briefly discussed, we can sort of review what can we do in order to help all the CAIPA members. And I'll be more than happy to follow that up with you, Suzette.
Excellent, thank you. So you've got our contact information here on the screen. We will be in touch with a link to the video that we've shared here, to the video of today's webinar, and we'll be happy to share that with you. You'll also have our contact information in there. Feel free to reach out at any time. We thank you for taking the time to join us here today. We appreciate your time and all the work that you're doing for your communities, your regions, and your locations. Juan and Chris, it's a pleasure as always working with you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day. Take care. Bye-bye.